Okay.
All right, welcome guys to the second to last meeting for this cohort. It's been such a ride. And yeah, we're happy so far with how your app has turned out, and we can't wait to see what you have for us today. So as per what I wrote on Slack, you're going to kind of tell us how you planned the week to be, basically, because we actually don't know, because we didn't create issues before for these last 2 weeks. That's going to be how when it's time for the issues, that's how we are going to do it too. Like, you're going to tell us what you plan to do, to round up the cohorts this last week we're entering. And then after that, we're going to have the learning module. Yeah, so we're going to start. Did you guys plan how it's going to go? Who is going to say what?
We didn't plan per se, but if Ibrahim is okay with it, I can go over what we did, and then each of us can go over the issues we worked on.
All right.
Yes, that's okay. You actually planned the stuff from the beginning, so it should be easy for you to talk about it.
Okay. So let me share my screen. So for this week, what we did was, since we're basically working on the design, firstly, we worked on the design using Figma. I did most of the design. So once we had like a design set in place, then we assigned individual tasks to each one of us. So we have a Trello board where we have our design issues. And then we also noticed that there was a slight glitch in our application that shows no item before the list is displayed. So over here, we have, I think, 5 design issues: the navigation bar, the home page, the list page, the add item page, and then no items in the list component as well. So each one of us took 2 issues to work on. So for P-Piece, she chose the home page and then also the add item page. The home page is completed, but the add item page is still in the works. It's not completed yet. And for Ibrahim, he chose the list page and he chose fixing the glitch. Both of these pages have been finished, but then we noticed a bit of issues here and there, and we're going to rectify it during the week. And then lastly, I chose the navigation bar and then no item in the list component. So for the design, we have the design here. Sorry, let me take a zoom in. So we have the color scheme. So the goal of our application is to have like a vibrant color, and it should be simple and minimalistic while showcasing all the necessary functionalities and details. So we have our color scheme, our typography, and then the icons that we use. And then this is our home page, the first page that you see, where you're going to enter the token. And then if you don't have a token, you can create the new list directly. And then this is our navigation bar. So over here, we have a note here for the navigation bar. So in the actual application, when the user hovers on the icons in the navigation bar, a label is supposed to appear to indicate what the icon is about. So if it's home, a home label is going to appear. And then this one, a list label is going to appear. And then this one, an add item label is going to appear. Then next here, we have the list page where most of the work is. So since we were, 1 minute, okay. Since we have, I think, 5 labels for how frequent, labels for the date next purchase we're going to have. So we have the overdue, the soon, the inactive, and the very soon and not soon. So each one is assigned a different color scheme to indicate a different frequency. And then we have our regular checkbox. And then for the delete, we have a trash icon. And then we have our search bar, which is just a normal input. And then if a person doesn't have anything on the list, this is the page that is supposed to render. So then lastly, for the add item page, we have, this is the add item page. We have our input, and then we have our radio buttons designed as below, and then we have the add item button. So for the radio buttons, if a user clicks, for example, for soon, ideally it's supposed to become this faint blue color. So if a user clicks on kind of soon, then it's supposed to be this faint red color. And then for not soon, it's supposed to be this faint color as well, depending on what the user chooses. So, and then I think we also have a note over here, yeah, which refers to what I was talking about. And then that was it basically. So I can go over the functionality of the app, what we have built so far, and then Ibrahim can go over what he did and then his code. So this is the application. Let me Control Shift on. Moment. Okay. Application. So now let me refresh. So now as a new user entering the application, this is the first page that it's going to appear. We have a welcome message, and then we have joining an existing shopping list, and then the get started by creating a new list. So assuming we're joining an existing list, let's join the my test list. This is the my test list. It's going to display
Hello. I think our network is bad.
I think her network cut off.
shopping list items along with the soon and then kind of soon and then here inactive. So far, this is what was, you can see we have a list that when we hover bottom of the sorry, my network kind of disconnected. It's probably because of the weather. So, and as I was saying, this is pretty much it. So Ibrahim can take over and then show us his code and then his functionality.
Right. Probably before he comes, do you guys use any framework, CSS framework or vanilla?
No, we didn't use any framework. We just use basic CSS.
All right. Okay, Ibrahim, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. So
All right.
I'm trying to connect with my system, but the network is slow. I don't know why. Okay. That's it. Can you hear me now? Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, let's start.
Um, trying to share my okay. Okay, so please, can you see my code now?
Yeah,
Hello?
I can see. Yeah, I can
Okay,
see your screen.
so this is the okay, this is the page that I designed. So we are using different colors to designate the time the person is going to buy the item again, such as the overdue, the red for overdue, blue for sun, and so on. So I also designed the search box, and then we added a delete button here, which expands as the user tries to click on it, so it expands. Okay, so what else? No, so and when you click it, you can actually see what's in place, then it's changed immediately. So let me go back to the quotes. And another thing I did was to from the beginning, we removed the once you reload the page, it will first show that your item list is empty. That was a glitch, so we removed it, and then there was a gap between when the item will be fetched from the server and when the user will start seeing it. So we added a spinner. I added this loading spinner to it so that it won't just be a blank page that the user will be seeing. So, okay, for the here for this page, the search bar, I designed the search bar here. So this is the HTML code or the JSS code. Search bar. Here I attach the container, the whole container, which is the form, was given the list container as the class, while the container that contains just the search bar, the placeholder search item, and the icon is the one that has this dot search, this search there. And then this is the icon I used put some icon, which was attached to this there. And then this placeholder was this is the search item on the placeholder. So from the CSS, so what I just did was try and give the background to be white, give some padding to expand it, and then the border radius, I also changed the border radius. The input was given the background color white. Then the search icon. So I try to place the search icon inside the label such that by using the absolute positioning and then pushing it inside, and then I noticed that it was under the search label. So I used the Z index to bring it forward, and then the color was changed to something that can mimic the gray color from the design. So for the inputs, the border radius was at 10 pixels to make the edges to be curved, and then the background was white, and then the font size was also increased, and the color of the text was changed to black. So, and after then I noticed that once I try to click on the search bar, you are going to see the outline and the border again. So that's why I give the focus to have no outline. And then this was used to increase the font size of the place so that search item here and the color too. So I think that's about this. Then for the items here, so I have to do the JSX such that I put everything is inside this list item container. The whole this whole thing here, they're inside one container. So I put this one together and then this together and use flex to place them beside each other. And then the whole container to here was I flex the items and then justify content to be spaced between to have this space. So after then some small design, and then where I actually had where I spent most of the time was on this color, because I have to change the color according to the urgency label. So the trick I later use, I don't know, I want to ask if there is any better way to do it, is to create variables, so these labels, and then get the urgency label from the data that is coming in. So if the urgency label is soon, then I'm going to I have this blue label, which is also important, this blue label here. And then if the urgency label that is like whenever this time is either kind of soon, if it's kind of soon, then I will get the sun label and so on like that. So then I use the template lecturer with all the label in this class. So the class name for the labels. So they are here. Gray label, blue label, all the label as classes, which represents these classes: the red label, gray label, green label at the top here. So in the CSX, then we are going to see that each of those labels then has the contain the color that I want this thing to be, the color that I want the label to be. So for the red label, the blue, the sun, the green label, like that. So whenever each of them is being picked, the class is going to be applied on the JSX, and the others will just be undefined and they will not be available. So that's how I was able to manipulate that, to do that. So which other thing did I do? Okay, so other things we noticed was that the colors were different on different systems and phones. Some were saying that this delete icon was not black, so I actually tried to even make it the color to be black here. And also the checkbox here, I noticed that because I removed the border before and put everything to be white. But we noticed that once that's done, the check mark will disappear and will not be seen. And some are even still complaining of that now, that they are still not seeing the check mark, why it is working accordingly here. So I think that's the end of the end. Okay. The last thing that I did was the glitch that I removed, and I used something that I've seen before that was done by one academic lecture, whereby what happened is that once the page load, we first see the list that the page that says that let me show it here. This is what this div is what we first see when we list the page, when we go to the page. So your shopping list is currently empty. Even before that, before the system fetches the item from the server. So it's supposed to bring this because of the way we wrote the code before, such that when data.length is equal to 0, that it should display this. So before, so you know, and when the page first loads, the data length will be 0. Then after it fetches, now becomes the number like 4 here. So thereby removing this and then giving us this page. So the trick I used was to create the states, was to create the show state here. So and make it false. Then once the data that we want to use is fetched and the data is already available, then change the state to true. It shows state to true. So for us to see, and then I send it to props to as show to the list page where I want to use it. So for us to see this shopping list is currently empty, then this show must also be true, because you know, then when the page first load, the show will still be false because we are not getting the data has not been loaded, the use effects has not been code has not been run by the system. So the show is still false as at that time. So even though this is true, the data.length less than 1 is true, this show is false at the beginning. So it will not load this particular stuff. Or if at a point after the use effect has the code inside this effect has run, I will try to fetch the item from the server, but maybe due to one error, or the person does not really have anything on the server, then the show state will change to true. And then as at that time, you can now display this, your shopping list is currently empty if the show state is true and the data.length less than 1 or so. So and another thing we did was to put this loading spinner. This yes, the spinner here that we see here once we reload the page. So immediately I reload the page, we can all see the spinner. Please, are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. So immediately I reload the page, you see the spinner. So that one I also use the show the data.length less than 1, the length of the data, you know, as when we first load the page, the length of our data is less than 1, is 0, and then the show will also be false. So we have the spinner. So immediately we get any of these thing. Once any of this is true, then the loading spinner will be removed from the page and we have our list. So I think those are the things that I did for this week.
All right. Well done, Tim. I have a comment and then a question. My comment would be I should probably ask the question because it's showing right now on the screen. On line 31, you're saying if the length of the data is less than 1, meaning if the data is empty.
Yes.
And if show is false, meaning the data from the backend, like the API code from the backend is back. and then show is now false. Wait, am I checking it well? So when you make an API call and API call comes back, show turns to true, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So I understand now. So for the other comments, you asked about how you handle the different colors. Can we go to the blue label, red label, cyan label?
Okay. That would be this.
Yeah. Yeah, so it actually works, and then it asks if there is a way you can improve it. I think using a variable to store the class name. So we can refer to the blue label, cyan label as the class name. So something like color, just one variable color. So you will now reassign color, like in line 64, line 66, according to the urgency label. So if it's soon, let color the blue label. If it's kind of soon, color should be cyan label. If it's not so soon, color should be green label. So the only thing you have to pass to the class name is color. It's already holding what it's supposed to hold, like the appropriate color, instead of having to create so many variables. That can work too.
Okay.
Yeah, aside that, everything works and your app is looking fine. Yeah, so does anyone have any other question, comments, or contribution? All right.
I have just a small note about the show, like the naming. I think it will be better if you name it like something like is loading. So because right now it's kind of confusing. I'm talking about like just the name of the variable, nothing else. So
Okay.
so like what's there is the loading state. So if it's loading, show the spinning, and if it's not loading, like show if it's empty or there is items, then show the items. Just a small note, but nothing like, yeah, that's all.
All right. Yeah, hold on, guys. We'll talk about what is left to be done after the learning module presentation. So you want to take us on that? Thank you, guys.
Yes. Let me share my screen. I cannot start screen share. Yeah. Mm, Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Let me start. Oh, I cannot put it in full screen. Yep. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about accessibility, the what, the why, and the how. Probably you already see LI. It's actually not LI, but A11Y. And 11 stands for the 11 characters between A and Y. And so what is accessibility? From Wikipedia, web accessibility is the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, and socioeconomic restrictions on bandwidth and internet speed. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, generally all users have equal access to information and functionality. So basically, web accessibility is a practice of inclusivity, where all users can have equal access to information and functionality around the web. And the standards of accessibility are maintained by W3C, which is an international community who develop the web standards. So they develop and maintain not only accessibility, but also HTML and CSS and many other things. In the US, there is a section 508 where government agencies are required to make websites accessible to people with disabilities. So some people with disabilities access websites using assistive technologies, or also called AT, and these include screen readers, screen magnifiers, speech-to-text, assistive keyboards, refreshable braille displays, and many other tools. So when we talk about assistive technologies, it's not only screen readers, but also these other assistive technology tools. Popular screen readers include NVDA and JAWS on Windows, VoiceOver on Mac OS and iOS, and also TalkBack on Android OS. So why we need to pay attention to accessibility, why it's so important, and why do we have to care about the accessibility? Because it's the right thing to do. The web provides access not only information, but to work, play, community, and essential life tasks. So everyone deserves to be able to use the web with dignity. You may be legally obligated to make your website accessible. And as a picture, more people in the US access websites with assistive technology than live in Canada. And some estimate that 20% of website visitors have some sort of disability. Also, making your pages more accessible for people with disabilities makes them more accessible for everyone. So if you make your pages more accessible, your apps or your websites, then there's a much bigger chance for people to come back to your sites or use your app rather than going to those that don't really pay attention to the accessibility. So here is a personal spectrum pictures from Microsoft. There are some types of disability. There are permanent, temporary, and situational disabilities. For example, for the touch, like people who are born with one arm, or people who got accident and has arm injury, or new parents with a new baby. They hold the baby in one hand and the other hand, and they can only work with one hand. Also in visual or see, there are blind people or people with cataract or distracted driver. So for example, like if you're riding, right, your car, and then you're using the navigation, you cannot pay attention to the street and also paying attention to the map altogether. So there's always like a voice navigation to let you know where you're gonna go, instead of looking at the maps and also the road altogether. There are also deaf people, people with ear infection, and bartender who are working in the loud environment. There are also nonverbal, people with laryngitis and heavy accent. So how to apply the accessibility? We can follow some simple best practice. First, and this is the golden rule, always use valid and semantic HTML. And then second, always include the alternative or alt attributes on your image tags. Images that with the purpose of decoration, they don't need to have alt attributes, but we can always try to, get used to include alt attributes wherever we can. And then use area attributes if necessary. The best area is no area at all. We need to use semantic HTML whenever possible. And then the next is ensure all context is reachable via keyboard. So if you build a website or an application, try to navigate with your keyboard. Try like all the keys, like the space bar or the enter key or the arrow keys, and make sure that everything works properly. And then the next, ensure all interactive elements have reasonable target sizes. For example, we have like input of check boxes. Those check boxes are really small, right? But sometimes you want to style it a little bit bigger. So in most cases, when user like try to click, they cannot really find where the checkbox is. So we need to consider that. And then ensure content and tab ordering makes sense. So when we press tab, does it goes in order, or it goes like directly to the middle and then jump to the top and then jump to the bottom? We need to use sufficient color contrast. Like for example, if the color is too contrast, then it would make eyes like tired very easily. Or if it's not too contrast, like it's a soft color and it's blend with the background color, then it would be difficult for us to see or to read whatever on the screen. So we can use like the color contrast checkers that you can find easily on the internet to check if the contrast of the colors are acceptable for accessibility. Also, don't use only color to signify state. It's good to use color. Like for example, we're building now the app that have like the color for the item of purchase based on the days of the purchase. But using only color to signify those states would be difficult for people with color blind because they cannot like really distinguish between the color. So it would be good also to have like the text combined with the color, or if you want to use like, for example, icons. So we mentioned about ARIA. What is ARIA? ARIA stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. And you can add the ARIA to your HTML to have better control over the accessibility of your websites and web applications. But misusing ARIA can introduce problems for AT users. So always try to use HTML to the best of your ability, and then add the ARIA when you've reached the limits of HTML. So how or when can we use ARIA? So say that you have a toggle switch on your smartphone that allows you to turn the setting on and off. And this HTML has no concept of switch, right? But we can use ARIA to make one. Like in this slide, we can see that we have a button with the text of Wi-Fi, and then ARIA role of switch and ARIA check true. So this attribute role and ARIA check work together to tell AT users that there is a switch called Wi-Fi and it is on. But we'll still need to add some CSS and JavaScript to make it look and function like a switch. And when do we don't need to use ARIA? ARIA has some overlap with HTML. So if we see here on the slide, we have a button with the text of Hello World and a div with the role of button and also with the same text Hello World. Both works the same. But when we use HTML, so when we use the button to make a button, the browser bundles it in other things. So it provides like the default CSS to make the button look button-like. And it allows the user to click the button with the space and the enter keys. So when we have this choice between using an HTML button and a div with the ARIA role of button, of course, we should choose the HTML rather than the ARIA. So how do we identify the accessibility issues? We can use automated tools such as X, or maybe you've heard about Lighthouse or Wave. That would be a good start, but it only finds 30% of the issues. A second, there's a guided audit such as those built into accessibility insights, which hopefully that I can demo it after this. And then if you if your company, for example, you work in a company and you can ask your company to test the accessibility through audit companies such as Pebble Tech Labs. But actually, the greatest one to identify the accessibility issues is to get feedback from the real users with disabilities. That's why you can understand the accessibility issues in your app or website from the real user. And now it's demo time. But before the demo time, there's also other resources that are listing here that you can read on later. So for the demo, I will use LinkedIn. So I already have, can you see this page or not? Yeah. Okay, so I have accessibility insights for web installed in my Chrome. And we can choose fast or assessment. Let's use fast first. And I will make this half and half so you can see. So it's still scanning. And still scanning. Okay, so here we can see that we have failed instances, nested interactive. If we click this, then we can see more information about it, like the snippet of the code and then how to fix the following. Element has focusable descendant. So if we click on that, we see that the problem is lays somewhere here. So that's like how to navigate this accessibility insights for web. And say that we want to try with the assessment. Start new. I hope this works. Keyboard navigation. Okay, so we can set this to on. Now we want to try the tab. Now I'm pressing a tab. Sorry, it goes from, this should be supposed to be from here. Okay, so if you see, it's keep search. This is what's happening on the background. There's a skip search or skip to the main. And then we can also try to, let's close it. If I press enter, it will stop there. And then I will use the tab again. Okay. And then it will go, if you see that it goes from here to here to here. So the order of the tab is great and there is no problem at all. So that's that. We can use this to, for example, to check if the tab is already in the good order. Okay, so that's about it. Does anybody has questions so far?
Nope,
Nope.
not from me. I know that when it comes to accessibility, it's like, I don't think anyone is getting it 100% yet. It's always
Yes.
something we all try to work towards. Like, everyone is putting an effort to the best of our abilities to make our platforms accessible, even the biggest tech companies too. So
Yep. There is no way that for now there is 100% accessibility, like
yeah.
you said. That's true.
Thank you, Ayu. It was a
You're
very
welcome.
insightful presentation. All right, so I guess we'll do the last part, which is so I understand, I can't remember. I think one of his tasks is still remaining, right?
Yes, both her and me, we still have one task to complete. Ibrahim, on the other hand, is done with both of his tasks.
Okay. All right, so I guess it's going to be a continuance then. So you're just going to continue with that and then ping us on Slack if you need us to jump in. Your design is beautiful, by the way. And did you have design experience? Because you did it like a pro.
Yes, I kind of tried UI/UX design at one point. So yes, that's why.
So I wasn't the only one that started with design. I
Yeah.
did design too. Yeah, so just see how it came in handy right now. You were able to use it. Well
I
done,
know.
guys. Yeah, so you're going to create your own threads on Slack if you need it, and then
Okay.
ping us if you need anything. But aside that, I think we are done, right? Did we leave out anything?
I have just one question, quick
Alright.
question. There is, I wanted to ask this last week, but I wasn't here. So there is one issue was created, but I don't know what is that actually. I guess it was created by mistake.
I saw it
It was
too. I think it
up.
was Ibrahim. Was it Ibrahim that created
Yeah.
it?
Yep. So I just was wondering
So
about
is
it.
it something you guys wanted to fix or?
Or was it just a mistake?
I think it was probably a mistake since the issue was there before this week. So maybe it was a mistake from his end.
Okay. I have another question. Did you create issues? I think you didn't create issues on GitHub, right? You create like just task on Trello?
Yes, that's what we did.
Okay.
Do we have to?
All right.
Up?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you think, Shamaka? Like about the issues? They should like create them on GitHub or?
Yeah, I think we have the last issue. The last issue that is talking about the design and the styling of the app. So maybe when you're making your last PR, you can attach that one to close it. But
Okay.
we use GitHub for project management, but we don't restrict collabies to GitHub. So if you felt more comfortable using Trello to do your product management, it's the same thing. The important thing is that you have somewhere you're tracking your tasks. So yeah, GitHub, Trello, Jira, anyone is okay actually.
All right.
All right, so that's it then. All right, see you guys on Slack. Bye. Have a wonderful last week.